And welcome everybody to another episode of the Pulse of Fins Nation. I am your host, Louis Sung, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ron Caniff. You've been hearing a lot from him, not just here, but also on Fins Nation with Louis Sung, which is me. So always good to have Ron available. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm awesome.
All right.
I'm ready for training camp to start. Just 6 measly weeks.
Just 6 weeks away, right? That's all we gotta
We
wait
got
for.
a while. Yeah, it's not long. Not long
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
not too long. Yeah, unless you're like any other normal Dolphins fan or football fan in general who's absolutely losing their minds with no sports going on. Like even basketball people can't enjoy anything anymore now that the Denver Nuggets have officially been crowned as champions. Like what's left to enjoy? The WNBA, I guess. League of Legends.
Well, I think we're actually doing this as people are watching
The Florida Panthers.
The Panthers. I don't know what time the Panthers started though. I'm not sure if it's in Miami or in Vegas either. I have to admit I don't really follow hockey.
I don't know anything about hockey, man. I went to one hockey game, and it was the most confusing thing that I had ever seen in my life. I was not able to understand why, if you trip a guy with your stick by accident, that's somehow a penalty. But if you full speed ahead skating, you slam and body check the guy into the wall, that's a legal play. I never understood why that's okay.
No clue.
Like that would be like if you tripped Tua in the backfield and he fell down and hit his head, that's a foul. But if you just like grab him and toss him into the air and then body slam him on the way down, that would be considered legal. That's the comparison that I would be able to make for that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm sure that there are some hockey people out there who are thinking like, oh my God, man, you need to watch more hockey. If anybody wants to teach me hockey, I will be more than happy to learn. I'm open to many things.
I've tried to, I don't know. I know a few people who are into it. I have a friend of mine who's a big Dolphins fan, but he's actually a big, what is it? Whoever the Nashville team is, I don't remember what he calls them. I felt like he called them the Predators, but I can't be right. I don't know what they're called.
No, it is the Nashville Predators. You had it right.
Oh, well, what's the Miami team called?
There's no Miami team. It's the Florida Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers. Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he's a huge Predators fan because he lives in Nashville, and he said we'll go to a game one of these days, but we're just never. It hasn't happened yet.
I mean, one day maybe it will. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get into the start of this show. We've got some stuff to talk about here. We briefly went into it in one of the previous shows, but we're going to get into a little bit of the Connor Williams discussion that we picked up on a couple shows ago for Fins Nation. And we're also going to be talking more about Dalvin Cook, I'm sure, because of all the recent news that's been coming out about him, where his stance is, according to reports, and what this means for the Miami Dolphins. And if you guys want us to talk about something else, make sure you go ahead and leave something in the comments below, so that way we'll be able to follow along with you. We have a live chat going as always, and if you want to go ahead and put a super chat in there, we appreciate any donations that you're willing to give. It helps keep us going, helps keep everybody going here at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Speaking of keeping 5 Reasons Sports going, this show is of course brought to you by our good friends over at Ubreak Wheel Fix. You like that transition there? Ubreak Wheel Fix Ubreak Wheel Fix is the complete automotive wheel solution. If you've ever parked too close to the sidewalk curb, Ubreak Wheel Fix specializes in the repair of damaged wheels from bends, cracks, and curb rash. Or maybe your wheels are faded or peeling. You don't need to replace them, as Ubreak Wheel Fix can refinish them to like new. Offering complete refinish options through powder coating, machining, and polishing, Ubreak Wheel Fix is the answer to all of your wheel needs. And if you're just looking to give your ride a new look, Ubreak Wheel Fix also offers many car customizing options, such as new custom wheels and tires from your favorite brands, performance upgrades, window tinting, and suspension modifications. Located just south of Aventura, you can reach Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 or online at ubreakwheelfix.com. They are really active on all social media platforms at Ubreak Wheel Fix, so shoot them a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter and get an estimate in just minutes. So don't delay, go to Ubreak Wheel Fix and start customizing your ride to show off your Dolphins fandom today. And this show is also brought to you by PrizePicks.com. PrizePicks.com is a revolutionary fantasy platform where you can now pick up to 6 different players across professional sports leagues, although there's not really a whole lot available to choose from right now. now. Fortunately, when all the sports are in action, you can choose from the NFL, you can choose from the NBA, you can choose from the MLB. That's what's really going on right now. Or you can just choose one player from each league if that's what floats your boat. It's up to you to decide. Just choose whether your chosen player will get more or less in their projected stat. They give you free squares. Today happened to be Taco Tuesday, so I took advantage of the discounted props that they had up there. Flex Friday specials will be available every Friday where you can get your money back if you lose, or you can multiply the amount of money you can normally win. With offers like that, it's hard to justify not signing up if you're any kind of a fantasy sports fan. So use the promo code 5, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your initial deposit when you sign up. Again, that's promo code 5, FIVE. Go to PrizePicks.com, deposit your $100, and let PrizePicks give you $100 of their dollars for you to play with and get started winning today. All right, Ron. So let's get into this whole thing. So obviously the Connor Williams situation, nothing really has changed since the last time we discussed it. It's pretty much still exactly where we thought it was. Connor Williams, it seems to be holding out for a contract. I believe it was Drew Rosenhaus. He was the one who had come out and said that he and Zach Sealer were looking for new deals. I don't think I obviously do not believe that he is responsible for Connor Williams sitting out while Zach Sealer actually shows up to practice. So I think that he's just basically letting each player do what they feel is best for them. I don't know what dictates why Connor Williams decides he wants to stay out while Zach Sealer shows up to work, but that's a different discussion, I guess. And I wonder if it speaks to what it is that Connor Williams prioritizes, because when you have two guys who are represented by the same agent, and you see one guy who shows up to work, even though I don't know, would you call it disgruntled? Would you say that he's disgruntled?
No, I don't think it's disgruntled. No, I wouldn't say that. I think he just wants more money. Just because the player wants more money definitely doesn't make him disgruntled.
That's true, but why does Zach Sealer show up for work and then Connor Williams does not? So what makes the difference there? Is one more dedicated to winning than someone else? Can we make that accusation? These are all very dangerous claims that we can make here.
No, I'm sure that each of them feels that they are doing what's best for them in their career. One thinks it's showing up to minicamp. I mean, and we don't know that Sealer won't hold out of camp. I don't think he will, but we don't know that. But
I mean, if he holds out of training camp, he's just as liable to get fined as if he goes out for minicamp. It's not like training camp is not mandatory.
Yeah, but it puts more pressure when you hold out for camp versus minicamp. I mean, we don't know that. I think they'll get something done with Connor Williams. I think they're going to get Wilkins done too while we're in these dog days of NFL offseason right here, the time between minicamp and training camp. It's the most grueling, like the worst thing ever. But I think they're both going to get done. Wilkins, I think Connor Williams will get done. I also wonder, though, about Sealer. I don't know that they're going to get anything done, and I don't know that he's going to hold out if they don't. I think perhaps he feels what's best for him is to show up to training camp, ball out for the season, and make it real hard for Miami to keep him. That's my guess. Like, ball out so good that pretty much they're going to have to say, man, we like you, Sealer, but we can't keep you and Wilkins because we can't afford you both. So we already extended Wilkins, and good luck out there in free agency. I'm sure you're going to get a good deal. I have a feeling that's what might happen soon. Miami has to start making some decisions financially starting next year. There's going to be tough decisions to make, and they've managed to keep it all together up till now, and Greer's good, but I don't know how good he is. Eventually he's going to have to wait on somebody. He can't extend everybody because you got others you're going to have to start extending next year and others you're going to have to extend the year after. So you can't extend everybody. You're going to have to wait on somebody to see how they do. Right.
Now, I think we've had this kind of discussion before, but I want to just go ahead and reiterate it based on what it is coming up for next season. So let's just play the game of armchair GM, right? So I'm on Over the Cap because that's where everybody goes when it's time to actually look at money.
That's what I look at. I know some people do Spot Track, but I always do the Over the Cap.
Right. So Over the Cap has the Miami Dolphins if everything were to stand pat the way that it is, right? Because we base it off of the whole idea, because we can't project what kind of cap space is going to be, how much it's going to increase from year to year and stuff like that. We can't make those projections as of yet. So if the cap space were to be exactly the same as it is today, that it is next year, that means that the Miami Dolphins would be over $30 million in the red. the exact number, and I don't know how Over the Cap gets these exact figures, but they say that Miami Dolphins will be over the cap $31,696,681. I'm surprised there's no and 64 cents
and
or something.
64 cents. Yeah.
But so with that in mind, again, obviously the salary cap going up, which it seems to do every single year because
It does.
so if you want to project that it goes up another 10 million or so, right? So that puts the Dolphins at 21 million over the cap.
Yep.
So we can go ahead and make that assumption.
Yes.
Now, this is how this game is played right now. We obviously have a lot of players that are going to be we're going to have to pay. We obviously paid Jalen Ramsey a lot of money. He's going to cost for about 27 million against the cap just next season, right?
Okay.
And then you have guys like Tyreek Hill. He's going to cost 31 million over the cap next season. Tua is going to cost 23 million over the cap next season, provided the Dolphins don't re-sign him to a regular old long-term deal, and maybe they can like shrink down his cap number in 2024.
Yeah, there's a chance of that.
Right. So
that's probably what they would do too, to just to try and keep the team competitive for 2 full years. You've got that ability there. I'm sure if you go through, and you're looking at the list, I'm not. I guess I could bring it up too, but I'm sure if you go through, I'm not worried about next year really at this point. However, we just have to make sure that we can keep the guys. There's going to be pieces we know are going to be around for some years, and there's going to be pieces that are questionable, and there's going to be pieces that we don't know if they're going to be around at all or not, right? So the key part is you got to pick the guys now. Greer's going to look, if I'm Greer anyway, he's got to look at it like, okay, who are the guys that we know that even though we're in a quote unquote Super Bowl window for the next couple years, 23 and say 24, how can we keep a core guys around for 25 and beyond to make sure we stay competitive, have a nice core, and then continue to kind of manipulate things, add some free agents, see if some draft picks work out, even some undrafted guys like Kohu, stuff like that. Because you're going to have to pay him, right? I mean, he was an undrafted free agent. I can't imagine he had more than like a 2-year deal. But I'm just saying, this is the way you got to look at it. Who are the guys that we have to keep around? That's the most important part right now. So in 23, you got to make sure if you're going to extend some people now, you got to do the guys that you know are going to be here in a couple more years. You are extending guys that you intend to keep on this team from 20 in 25 and 26 probably. If you don't think so, if you're not sure, you're probably not going to do it right now. You're going to wait and see how it goes.
But this is what I'm saying though, Ron. Watch this. So this is why I'm not talking about, if we're talking about keeping the core, this is where you question, okay, who exactly is the core? Because I'm looking at the whole list here, right? You see Emmanuel Ogbah right up here on the top.
Not the core.
Not the core. So you don't look at him as the core. So
Correct.
You cut him and you're saving 13 million right off the bat. So if we're going off the assumption, okay, salary cap goes up $10 million. That means that Miami is now only 21 million in the red. You cut out Emmanuel Ogbah and already you are at,
but they're not going to do that this year. We're talking about next year.
No, they're not doing that. They're not doing that this year. That's right. Correct. They're not doing that this year. So with that in mind, that's what I'm saying. So you cut Ogbah in 2024, and more than likely, you probably end up cutting Jerome Baker.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing. It's not about cutting and not cutting. It's about what are you doing in 23? The guys that you're looking to extend in 23 are the guys that you 100% know want for, well, hold on. Let me finish there, sir. That you want in 25 and beyond. Those are the guys that you're extending right now. If you know that you want a guy in 2025 and beyond, you are figuring out a way to make sure that if they're not already locked into a contract for 2025 or beyond, that you get them locked in for a contract for 2025 and beyond. That's what you're doing right now. So that's why when we see, Will Sealer shows up and Connor Williams doesn't, and we got to extend Wilkins and blah, 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 blah. They probably already know who they know for sure right now they want to keep for 25 and beyond. I guarantee you Wilkins is one. Sealer maybe he's not. Connor Williams might be. Maybe he's not. I don't know the answer to that. I think it's a small list of guys that you know for a fact are going to be here 25 and beyond, because as you look at that list, you want Waddle, you want Jalen Phillips, right? If you keep going down that list, you already have Chubb locked up. You Armstead, I don't know. I'm not sure how far his contract is locked in. Christian Wilkins, you want to get him extended. He's another one. Xavian Howard, maybe not here in 25, right? Tua, here's another guy that you're pretty sure, unless something weird happens this year, that you want to lock him up. But guess what? They haven't signed him to an extension yet, so they may not 100,000% even be sure there. They may still want that to play out. This right now is the time where you're trying to figure that out. So there's going to be a few extensions this year, and that's it. And it's just, and Connor Williams is trying to put the pressure on Miami because Connor Williams and their agent probably know that's Miami's mindset. And they're like, look, we want to get locked in there too. And we don't know for a fact that we're that guy. So we're going to force Miami's hand because we know they need us right now. One of the weakest part of this team is the offensive line. And they sure as heck don't need, to say, oh, let's see if Liam Eichenberg can work out at center. That's not the way we need to be going into the season. And Connor Williams' agent knows that. However, with Sealer, it's a little different story. I think Sealer's better off coming in, balling out, and going and get himself a big free agent market because I just don't think they're going to extend Sealer right now. I just don't think that he's one of those players that calculates into this because Greer doesn't want to just do the Rams thing. He doesn't want to do the let me just go all crazy one year, win the Super Bowl, and then dump it. He wants to win the Super Bowl and then keep it going. That's what he's trying to do. So he's trying to have the best of both worlds with a very, very, very careful plan that we're not privy to. We're just guessing. But I'm guessing it's a select few players this year that are going to get those extensions.
But here's what I am implying here, and this is why I bring up things like 2024. I know you don't want to talk about the future, but the reason I'm talking about the future is because it pertains to the present as we are. So here's the future right now, 2024. You see all these names, and you see all this fat that they'll be able to trim. Look, even Cedric Wilson is on here. Even if Cedric Wilson ends up staying throughout the season, there's no way he makes it through a third season with Miami.
Probably not. No, I mean we've been saying that with Noah for 3 years, but yeah, probably
Noah
not.
Monogany is not somebody that he's a rookie on a rookie deal.
I get it. I'm just saying he's a player that we keep saying, oh, there's no way he's gonna stay. There's no way he's gonna make it. And he keeps making it. But Cedric Wilson's contract. I mean, there's only $1 million of dead money with 7.3 right now, right? If you moved on,
that's 2024.
Oh, you're in 24. Okay.
In 23, if you cut him, there's no
there's no cutting him now, but it reverses
first. Yeah, and even Cedric Wilson, if you cut him now, there's nothing.
So what is your question? Are you asking what moves we can make on this roster to make sure we can just go ahead and extend Connor Williams? Is that your question? I'm just not sure what the point is you're making.
What my point is that there is the distinct possibility that the Dolphins may decide, you know what, let's go ahead and just not extend the likes of Christian Wilkins yet.
No, they're not going to do that. I'm telling you right now, if any player gets an extension before they walk into training camp, Christian Wilkins is a piece that they want to keep on this team for years to come. And
Christian Wilkins is, but again, who is to say, and I don't have any like insider information on anything like this, but Christian Wilkins, of all the players that is in line for an extension, the one who seems to be like having the most fun being a Dolphin, so to speak, is Christian Wilkins. And if Chris Grier comes up to Christian Wilkins and says to him, listen, my friend, I love you. You know that we want you here. Right now, our salary, if we want to be able to keep this Dolphins team competitive for a very long time, we need to be very careful with how we handle this salary cap. Let's finish. This is all speculative discussion. I'm pretending to be Chris Grier. And I'm making the pitch that says, let's finish out your contract. You're making $10 million right now this year, and it's all guaranteed. There's nothing here that's yet not going to be in your pocket by the end of the season. Let me go ahead and re-sign you to a new deal in 2024 because Miami will be shedding fat to make room for him. So goodbye, Og. Probably goodbye, Baker. Definitely goodbye, Cedric Wilson. So now in 2024, you can re-sign Christian Wilkins to a deal where his salary cap in that first year is lower because you know how that always goes. The first year is always lower salary caps to go. That way it makes space for other people to be able to be fitting under that contract. So, and then you can restructure and you just play that game. That's what Chris Greer and Brandon Shore have been doing all along. Low first year deals, and then as it just bloats up and inflates as the season goes on. Of all the players on this list, and I'm not saying this is what Christian Wilkins' mindset is, but of all the players that we have here that definitely need an extension, the one who seems the most likely to be patient and just trust that the Dolphins will do right by him, and I'm sure that they will, would be Christian Wilkins. Zach Sealer, on the other hand, has less reason to believe that they are going to give him that kind of offer, that level of faith, because Zach Sealer was not a Miami Dolphins draft pick. He was not somebody that Chris Greer was heavily invested in. He is somebody that will probably look to get the biggest payday, and he has no loyalty to the Dolphins themselves, because it was the Ravens who picked him first, and then they waived him, and the Dolphins claimed him and said, "You're mine now." And he's made a great career for himself. Fantastic. Connor Williams is an assassin. We signed him from the Dallas Cowboys. He has no loyalty to Miami. The fact that he's holding out of minicamp is proof that he has no real loyalty to Miami. He's not looking to be a Dolphin for life. Christian Wilkins gives the impression that he wants to be a Dolphin for life. And when you have somebody with that internal mindset, they may be more willing to play ball with you because they want to stay where they feel happy and comfortable. Zach Sealer and Connor Williams of the Drew Rosenhaus fame do not have that same impression to me. And all that is speculative, and all that is just me talking based on what it is that I witness just watching these players play and watching how they react and how they act in front of people. But if you really want to be able to keep the core intact as much as physically possible, keeping Christian Wilkins' salary cap low for this year and the next seems like the most viable way of doing it. If you extend him now, you are using your first year of low salary cap this year, and it's going to start to bloat by next year. So now you have to cut more room in 2024 to be able to make space for other people.
Yeah, I get everything you're saying. I 100,000% disagree with it. You have to extend Wilkins now. Now is the time to extend him. All his counterparts have already been extended. All the defensive tackles that were drafted in the year he was drafted have already signed extensions anywhere from 4 years, 60 million to like 4 years, 90 something million. He could even be the best of the bunch. Miami might have even screwed themselves a little waiting. Probably should have tried to get in on it earlier. I believe they are going to get that extension done before camp starts. And I believe they have to, because I believe they are going to focus on the pieces they know they want here long-term. And that's past next year. And they're not going to focus as much on players they aren't sure are going to be here past next year. So I think that they're going to get it done with Christian Wilkins. Now, how's that play out for Connor Williams? Well, I doubt seriously when they went into the beginning of this season, they thought to themselves, one of the things we need to do is we need to sign a new contract for a new extension for Connor Williams. Probably not, considering he was only 1 year into the first deal that he just signed.
I mean, it was a 2-year
deal.
So
now they have to figure out what they're going to do. Obviously, there's conversations behind the scenes. They probably know whether or not this guy will show up to camp or not already. If they don't give him an extension, they probably already know that. So I don't know what their plan is. We have zero clue what their plan is. I'm a little concerned simply because I'm more concerned about Connor Williams not showing up than Zach Sealer, even though I think Zach Sealer is awesome. And that tandem at defensive tackle with him and Wilkins is one of the better ones in the NFL when they're on the field together. It really is. But it's still, we have a lot, and we're a little thin even at defensive tackle, honestly. But man, we can't have Connor Williams not be there. I mean, we're already struggling with left guard and right tackle and wondering who of these guys that we've, these street free agents kind of, if you will, that we've picked up could possibly, fit into these spots. We definitely don't have any kind of way to also try and replace center, especially a guy that plays center as good as Connor Williams did last year. So I think he's forced Miami's hand. I think they will figure out a way to get it done. I think for sure they're going to extend Wilkins, for sure. But I don't think they're going to do much else in regards to extensions. In my mind, I think there'd be very little. And then they're going to wait and see how the season goes to decide on a variety of players.
Now, just to clarify, I'm not saying that they shouldn't extend Christian Wilkins. I am in that camp. They need to re-sign him. But the only thing I'm implying here is that if the goal is to keep as much intact as you humanly possibly can, then you might want to try to keep salary caps low while you can, unless Christian Wilkins is willing to say, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll take 2 first years with a low salary cap, and then you're just going to blow it up in the third season. I don't think he's willing to go that far. So who are you willing to sacrifice in the next upcoming season to be able to keep your core together? Because there are, again, a lot of really good players that you may not be able to retain in 2024 because you're paying higher costs now. So obviously Jalen Waddle, he's going to be needing a new contract soon. I'm highlighting 2024or here. I guess.
What about Xavian Howard? Shutter's asking. Xavian Howard, what's his numbers look like for next year?
So Shutter Bravo, is Xavian Howard part of the plan? I guess that depends on how well he plays this year. Because if he goes back to playing like his normal self, I would think the Dolphins want to retain Xavian Howard.
Yeah, I don't know. When does his contract end? Can you click on him and see when does his contract end up? What do the numbers look like?
So,
and I don't know. I don't think any of it has.
For the record, he signed all the way through 2027.
Yeah. So I'd say unless he falls off and they decide to move on from him, he's part of those plans as well still.
But here's the point.
But I don't think he has any bearing on Connor Williams or Christian Wilkins, though. I just don't think he does. You know what this might do, the Connor Williams thing? It might force their hand to get rid of a player that they didn't feel that they were forced to, but maybe since they're not even sure they're part of the plans for 2023, they move on. Like Cedric Wilson. That'd be probably the first guy that they try and, I know they probably have tried to trade already. I forgot. I think you just showed what those numbers look like. Yeah, if they just cut them, they can't just cut them, right? They have to trade them.
Yeah, in 2023, if they end up cutting Cedric Wilson now, they're eating $6 million of that, and they only save $2.
So they'd have to figure out a way to trade him. So that's my concern, is that trying to bring it back to Connor Williams when we were talking about him not being a minicamp. My concern is that it forces their hand to do something that, if they're not super sure on a guy for 23, they go ahead and say, you know what, let's just try and move on from this guy or that guy. Ogba could be one, but I think they really want to keep Ogba. I think they want to keep a nice rotation of defensive ends. I think they need to, for Fangio's defense too. I think they need to. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But you know what? Connor Williams not being there wasn't the only thing that happened during camp.
And what is it that you are implying there?
Achane, man. Achane was doing some stuff. Am I right? He was doing stuff in OTAs. He was
according to reports, Devon Achane is having a great camp. And you know what? So is Savon Ahmed.
He's going to be a superstar. Achane's going to be a superstar, man. I'm telling you. We don't need Dalvin Cook. We don't need to spend money. We're sitting here talking about how can we get some scraps, some crumbs to extend a couple guys, and you're talking about signing Dalvin Cook. You know what? Dalvin Cook's not going to get the money he wants, and here's why he's not going to get the money he wants. The group of free agents at the running back spot in the middle of June looks better than almost any position does middle of March when free agency starts. You've got Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, James Robinson. There's more. That's just like 5 top guys right there. And they're all sitting out there without a team. No one's paying big money for backs right now. I mean, they're just not. So he's not getting $6-7 million a year unless some team really feels like, oh, if we sign Dalvin Cook, this is it. This is the difference maker. I don't think that's the case, or I think they would have probably tried to make the trade earlier and renegotiate his contract. I don't think that Dalvin Cook's going to get that money that he wants. So, and then as a team decides, you know what, we do need a back, they're going to go to some of these backs, and the first guy willing to sign for, they're going to bring in, okay, we'll bring in this guy, this guy, this guy. The first guy that's willing to sign a contract for set amount of money is going to be, and I'm not talking about Miami, I'm talking about teams in general. If a team in general decides we need to upgrade the running back spot, they're going to have a number in mind, and they're going to offer that to a few different guys, and whoever signs it, signs it. And we know for a fact that happens because teams do that. Teams do that all the time, especially when you start getting into training camp and you start getting into the beginning of the season. After week 1, when you don't have to guarantee guys the entire salary, you can pay them week by week, week 2 and on. That's what happens, and that's what's going to happen at the running back spot. And that's why nobody's just going to go and jump on it to go pay Dalvin Cook $6, $7, $8 million a year. It's not happening, period. There's too many options at running back. Someone will get nervous and sign some skinny deals. That'll make even less spots available for a guy like Dalvin Cook and Zeke, who I assume is still out there, simply because he probably wants way more money than anyone's going to pay him. I don't want to sit there and say way more money than he's worth. That's not for me to tell any player they are or are not worth a certain amount of money. I'm just stating what I think a team will and will not pay him. And I believe that all those backs sitting on that list right there that are extremely capable backs, they're going to start to get nervous as the season starts and they're not on a team, and they're going to start to take skinny deals. And that's going to make even less. That's going to decrease what few opportunities there are for a guy like Dalvin Cook. So if he wants to be on a team, he'll have to take a skinny deal. If Ezekiel Elliott wants to be on a team, he'll have to take a skinny deal. And every day that passes, some team somewhere signs some guy, whether it's a $1 million signing or a $3 million signing or a $5 million signing, and everybody's salary cap space starts to shrink that much more as the days go on, ticking towards training camp. And I just don't think Dalvin Cook's going to get the money he wants. Now, if he gives Miami a really reasonable price, maybe they sign him. But I'm just letting you know right now, whether they sign him or not, they don't need to sign him. That running back room is ready. And I think by week 5 or 6, you know my thoughts on it. The Devon Achane is the one who will be leading that backfield in carries and definitely leading it in touches, because he's going to get some in the passing game out of the backfield. He'll probably get a few actually lining up as a receiver, but I think that'll be very little. And he's going to get to touch it on special teams too. He's going to be the kickoff guy. So he's going to be all over the field, man. He's going to be a very valuable piece. And I don't really think we need Dalvin Cook. I'd rather them just save the money, use it for what few extensions you're going to do, and start to feature Achane as he really starts to figure out the offense, which he's a running back. Running backs figure things out in this league a little bit faster than some other spots, especially like tight end, for example.
I mean, I figured if you're so convinced that Devon Achane is going to be some sort of superstar, I would think you want to keep him far away from special teams.
No, but I'm being realistic with how they're going to use him. I'm just letting you know they're going to use him on special teams. Now, it could be to a point where, man, this guy's way too valuable as a starting running back. I don't want him returning kickoffs. But honestly, man, sometimes I think one year Miami, it was a couple of years ago, it wasn't last year, and it was a really low number. Miami only had something like 13 returnable kickoffs the entire season. Like, kickoff returner isn't a valuable spot as it used to be. Punt returner sometimes isn't as well, because you're just fair catching a lot. And a lot of times you'll use a different player to fair catch than you will if you think it's going to be a run back. You'll have two different guys for that. You want a sure-handed guy for just a fair catch, and you want somebody with some wheels that could break one if it's going to be a further punt. So I don't think it's as scary as it used to be back when guys were returning everything out of the end zone several years ago when they were kicking from the 30. So yeah, I don't get concerned with that as much. And there's a lot of teams whose stars play on special teams. In fact, people used to say, man, you got to stop using Waddle on special teams. And this was before Tyreek, right, was a Dolphin. And everybody said, well, wait a minute. Tyreek Hill plays. Tyreek Hill returns punts. Tyreek Hill returns. He didn't do kickoffs, but he returned punts. So, and that was in Kansas City. And he was like, besides Patrick Mahomes, he was probably their most important piece, at least on offense. Beyond
Someone
Patrick
argue
Mahomes.
Travis Kelce.
Yeah, maybe Travis Kelce. I mean, he was definitely an important piece for them at the time, at least, in their mind. So I don't get in on that whole, oh no, they shouldn't play special teams. Or now if they're out blocking for punts or something, that's a little different story. That's a little different story. But I mean, there's even been coaches that if that's what you're good at, like Gronk, man, you remember when Gronk broke his arm, like really broke it bad, and he was out off and on for a couple years because it got really infected and et cetera, et cetera. He did that. He broke that blocking on an extra point because he was part of that team.
And they regretted it ever since.
But he was part of that team. It's football, man. It's football. No, I have no issue with Achane as valuable as I think he's going to be on the team, having a role on special teams as a punt returner or as a kickoff returner.
If I feel like that you already have players who can do the job just as well. Obviously, I think Braxton Berrios is going to be looked at as a kick returner. That's literally what he did with the Jets. That was his thing.
Well, so now you got Berrios and Achane back there. So you got two guys that, when you do get a chance to run it, are a threat to take it all the way, which is exciting. Imagine that. Neither one of our guys that'll probably be returning kickoffs were even on the team last year. So that's definitely an addition. That's something not talked about, but it's an addition to special teams. It's like those kind of hidden yards that they talk about.
But I feel like if you're really that convinced that he is going to be some superstar player, if you are making a push for the Super Bowl, why would you risk your guy out there on special teams when you know he's going to have to carry the ball 10, 15 times a game and get maybe even more touches than that?
Miami may decide that once he starts to get more touches that they may decide to take him off special teams. I just don't think they will because it's football. So I just don't think they will. I think they keep him, but I don't know. I think we're arguing semantics here as to whether Achane is going to play special teams if he starts to explode as an offensive player. I think he's going to by week 5 or 6. I don't think you're going to see him. I think you'll see Mostert and Wilson obviously be the guys that get the bulk of the carries at first, and they're going to start to work Achane in. They'll start working Achane in week 1, I'm sure. Like week 1, they're going to start giving him a few touches, but it'll be minimal. It'll be probably less than 5 carries in the first few weeks. And then I think slowly you're going to start to see him chip away at Mostert and Wilson's carries.
I still believe Dalvin Cook ends up being a Dolphin.
It could very well be, but it is not going to be even close to the money that he's wanting or that he's thinking.
I don't think it will either.
Going to be. It's not going to be. That's not the market right now. Whether he's worth it or not, that's not the market. No, but I mean, to sit here and say that, we're better off without Dalvin Cook or that guy, no, I'm not saying that. You add him to what's already a really good running back room. That really good running back room now just got that much better. I'm not going to complain if we signed Dalvin Cook. It would be annoying to me if we signed him for a big contract and the trade-off for that is we couldn't extend somebody we needed to extend. We ended up losing a guy next year that we could have extended this year, or et cetera, or money we could have carried over into 24. Because remember that $13 million we gained from Byron Jones and his post-June cut. That's actually money we're borrowing from 24. That's how that works. That's what that post-June cut is. So we're pretty much taking from 24 and putting it into 23. So rolling it into 24, even still then, isn't extra money. We took a loan and then we give it back. Now we won't give it all back because we've already spent some of it. And we still have to sign Cam Smith, I believe, right? I don't believe we've signed.
Yes, Cam Smith is still not signed as of right now.
Yeah, and usually Greer gets that done quick, so he must be, trying to get a little bit of extra.
I mean, there may be some semantics involved, but really there's only so much a rookie can push for, especially when he's not a first-round pick.
It's true, but I think that Miami feels like they got a kind of a steal. They kind of got almost like a first-round talent in the second round. And
he was still a second-rounder.
He's still a second-rounder. He's not going to get paid like a first-rounder.
Does not care.
I get that, but he can still kind of push for those little extra, maybe some incentives. Maybe he's pushing for some incentives, possibly. We don't know. We don't know what the negotiation. They'll get it done. I mean, our second round draft pick isn't going to go unsigned. And I'm not worried about that. Greer 100% get it done. And I think he'll get it done with Wilkins. And honestly, I think they'll figure it out with Williams too. I think they're going to figure out all those situations. I'm not worried about it. And they already signed Achane. Which was originally reported for $34 million. I was like, $34 million? No, it was 3.4, I think.
Yeah, that's correct. Something
Yeah.
along those lines. But either way, I still believe that the best thing the Dolphins can do, if we are making a run for this is how the games are played. Look at I'll use the Miami Heat as an example. All of that coaching, all that culture, all of that never say die attitude. At the end of the day, they just got ramrodded by a team that just was more talented. End of discussion. They're more talented. So in the NFL, it becomes even more difficult because now you have even more factors that could go wrong, and you have even more players that you have to be able to manage. So the Miami Dolphins, as it is right now, they are a very talented team. I think that they can make a Super Bowl push if Tua stays healthy. I don't see any reason why they would not be able to. But if you have the opportunity to add a player of Dalvin Cook's caliber, and yes, I want it to be at the Dolphins' price, not his price. I think his price is unreasonable. I think that, especially considering the market, and I even went about this in Fins Nation this morning about what exactly it is the Dolphins have and what it is that the running back market actually is. I went through this exact same list that we were looking at just now. I pulled it up for that same reason. I was looking at it as I was recording my show as I was recording the show for this morning. Ezekiel Elliott, he has a reputation. Leonard Fournette has a reputation. Kareem Hunt, there were people saying we should trade for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk that Kareem Hunt would have been a nice ad for us last year.
And look, nobody's looking at him. Nobody's looking at Fournette. Nobody's looking at Ezekiel
everybody's
Elliott.
looking at them, and all the teams that are even somewhat in the market.
If anybody was looking at them, we would have heard reports. We would have heard something that says,
when
hey,
I say looking at
is
them,
interested in Ezekiel Elliott.
When I say looking at them, I mean they're aware they're out there. They may have even had like one little touch base with their agent. I'm sure tons of coaches or GMs have made calls to these agents to see what are you guys looking for. Everybody has made. You're not doing your job if you haven't picked up the phone and asked the agent, hey, what is Ezekiel looking for? What's Kareem Hunt looking for? You're not doing your job unless you've made a decision that player doesn't work for your team. If you feel that player works for your team at all, you at least pick up the phone and ask. That's how it works. Or you're not a good GM and you should be fired. Where it hasn't gone any further is nobody seemed to have brought these guys in for a visit. For one, that's when we hear reports. When guys are set for a visit, like we know D-Hop was just a couple days in Tennessee, right, with the Titans, and then Thursday, I believe, tomorrow or Thursday, he heads to New England there. But hey, you know what? Can we switch topics for a bit? Because man, I'm getting tired of talking about a guy who's not even on our team anymore. But we're going to talk about another one who's not on our team. What in the world is happening in Buffalo with Stefan Diggs? And apparently he didn't show up, and it has nothing to do with money. And it might have something to do with him and his relationship, or something to do with Josh Allen.
I mean, Josh Allen just said that they've been talking and that there's nothing wrong with their relationship, that he loves Stefan Diggs like a brother and all that wonderful chit-chat stuff.
Then why is Stefan Diggs not in camp? And the coach out loud saying he's concerned about that, about the why he's not there. That's, I mean, is Buffalo, are some of the Buffalo players getting kind of annoyed with the underachieving? Because that's been the team to be, right? The what's the word I'm looking for? The anointed team that was going to win the Super Bowl. We've heard that now for 2 years straight, and they underachieved a little bit a couple of years ago, and they woefully underachieved last year. They almost lost to the Dolphins with our third string quarterback. You know, honestly. So, and I mean, Skylar Thompson didn't even play that well. Like that should have been a blowout.
And they were in Buffalo.
Yeah, and they were in Buffalo. I mean, I guess I say that to say this. I understand the Jets are there, and who knows really how good they'll be. It's truly a complete unknown. We can guess that, oh, they'll be good because A, because B, you know, et cetera. But we don't know if it'll all work and all click. You have no clue. But man, I think Buffalo may not be on that AFC East throne anymore. I mean, they've had it now for a few years, and I think it's primed for somebody to come and try and take it. Now, is Buffalo still a good team? Of course they are. Still a really good team. They're still well coached, have a good defense, have Josh Allen, right? But I wonder maybe if there's just frustration there from underachieving. Maybe Stefan Diggs feels like he's not getting the ball enough. I mean, Josh Allen's, I should say, improvement, like his big time, like all of a sudden he went from, he's pretty good to holy crap, Josh Allen, was when Stefan Diggs got there. It's made a huge difference for him. So I know they need him on that team. Like they're not the same without him. I just wonder if maybe they start to take a step back. Maybe this is the year Buffalo takes a step back in either Miami or the Jets. Hopefully Miami. I believe it'd be Miami over the Jets. Take that step forward and take the AFC East.
I mean, they're still the consensus. The Buffalo Bills are still the consensus to win the AFC East. There are a few people who feel like the Jets have a shot at it. There are a few people who also feel like that the Dolphins have it, to be fair. The list who think that the Dolphins have it is a lot shorter than what things people think of the Jets and
Of
stuff
course,
like that.
For all the same dumb reasons. For all the same dumb reasons, we hear it. There's hate towards Mike McDaniel because he's different. I was listening to, I don't even know why. I think I was just kind of roaming through YouTube this weekend and happened to catch a clip of, I don't know the name of the show, but it's got this dude named Max from ESPN.
Max Kellerman.
Yeah, and it's called Max Somebody and Somebody. I can't remember the wide receiver that's on it. He hates Miami. He always has. Used to play for the Jets, and his name escapes me. But listening to their host or whatever, or the other guy who's on it, I don't know. I don't know his name. Man, he had it was like hate in his heart for the Dolphins and McDaniel. He's like,
Greenberg.
No, it's not Greenberg. It's not that show. It's a different show. It's called Max something and something. I don't know. I don't watch that stupid fucking channel. I hate ESPN. I hate everybody on that damn channel. They're ridiculous. Anyway, pardon my French. I'm sorry to curse, but seriously, I hate ESPN. I hate that channel. I hate that freaking everybody in there. But anyway, they were saying something about Tua or saying something about the Dolphins. It might have been about Dalvin Cook. And of course, McDaniel gave a very cryptic answer. The answer he gave about March something 1983, whenever his birthday was. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it means it definitely wasn't yesterday. So you're trying to get me to say something. But when's this guy's stick gonna wear thin? When is this? Blah blah. It's just hate. They just hate the Dolphins. They hate the Dolphins. They hate Tua. They hate McDaniel. That's why that nobody picks them to win the AFC East. It's not because they're giving actual real analysis. They just hate us. That's all. And they hate that we're good. And they hate that we're going to be better this year. And they hate that we're probably going to beat their sorry Patriots that they were on or covered or loved or coveted for years. And that we're probably going to be better than Buffalo this year. And that the Jets are probably going to underachieve as usual because they're the Jets. They hate it and they know it's coming. So they're just salty and sour. And it just almost kind of funny at this point. Anyway, I just get aggravated. So you could just see these national pundits. Now, what's that one show on FS1? I think it's called Speak. It used to be called Speak for Yourself. It's got Joy Taylor. It's got
Emmanuel Acho,
which
LaShawn McCoy, who they were saying could potentially replace Shannon Sharp with Skip.
Oh, really? Okay. I was wondering who was going to replace him, but now those people they're a bit more pro, especially Acho. He's a bit more pro Dolphins than most. He likes the Dolphins or
pro Dolphins, dude. He acknowledged you.
I know. Yeah, he did on Twitter. But yeah, he's definitely pro Dolphins. So that show's tolerable when they're talking about the Dolphins. It's kind of nice to hear some positive feedback from a national standpoint. But mostly, you're not going to get a whole lot of people considering Miami to be a real threat to win the AFC East simply because they just don't like Miami. I mean, look at the coverage the Heat got. I mean, they just hate Miami, dude. They just don't like the city. They don't like the people. They don't like the teams. They're all a bunch of guys that have done nothing but lived in the Northeast and covered teams in the Northeast, and they hate South Florida teams, and they can't even begin to try and pretend like they're not biased. They just can't even pretend. They're not even trying anymore, right? They're not even trying anymore. So anyway, I know it gets me kind of pissed, but Hey, guess what? Look, my foam stuff hasn't fallen down yet.
Oh yeah. For anybody
Yeah.
who's not aware, Ron is trying to upgrade his recording setup.
Clearly, if you've watched this show for the last couple years, clearly I've already done some serious upgrades, right? I got better mic.
I mean, you used to be recording from just an empty, echoey room.
Echoey room, but I still need to put more sound dampening up for sure. I actually just have some back here, but that's not doing much. I need to put more, and I'm not done, even close to done back here. So we're going to have improvements galore. Hey, look, we got a fancy new logo. You might say, well, that logo doesn't look fancy. Yeah, but it's not in a square box. Now it's a PNG transparent. See, look, we're little process improvements as we go.
Well, my lady did offer a new alternative. She got inspired the other night.
Yeah, can you put it in? Is it possible, or is it not up there? It is. Look at that. You just like that. I like that one. Leave that one up.
So leave a comment below which one you like better. If you like the original or if you like this new one better, we'll see where it goes from there. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave the new one up there. By the way, she is open for commissions if anybody wants like a fan art or a graphic design of it. just saying. But
5 Reasons Sports Network says.
You mean you said?
I don't know who did that. Somebody broke in.
Ron. Okay, whatever, man.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate the few that are watching us right now. I know some will watch later because I know that they. What I said, the Predators,
the Florida Panthers started 4 minutes ago.
The Florida Panthers, did they start? Yeah. So, what's that? 3-1 Vegas.
Yeah, sadly, I suspect that the Florida Panthers miracle run ends here as well.
Yeah, miracle run. But is it really considered
a miracle
run for the Panthers?
You know what, though?
I don't know that it is. It was for the Heat, but I don't know if it is for the Panthers.
You know what I'm gonna say, Ron?
What are you gonna say?
There's an old saying that Texas people have, and it's a very simple one. It's 3 words. It's a very simple phrase.
What is
I don't know if maybe you can figure it out.
Nope, no idea.
It's that bigger is better.
Bigger is better. Okay.
And the Las Vegas Knights are big, beefy, monstrous monsters who absolutely tortured the Florida Panthers for 3 games. And now you also have the Miami Heat, who lost to the Denver Nuggets, who is also a team who is bigger and faster and stronger than the Heat were pretty much in every aspect. So maybe if you really want to get into the Super Bowl, maybe what the Dolphins should do is invest in a running back who's known as being a big, beefy dude at the goal line who can get touchdowns.
If you really think Dalvin Cook is the missing piece of a Super Bowl team, man, I got some land in Nigeria I want to sell you. A Prince sold it to me. I'm happy to sell it to you at a discount. All right, so we have a question here. Polly King 305. Quick question: do you see Tua potentially taking less to keep the gang together and let everyone else eat?
Nope.
I don't.
Those days are gone. Those days are gone. Those days are gone.
Probably. I mean, I don't know Tua, obviously. And he's a different kind of dude, so
there maybe anybody,
but I just don't think so.
I do not believe at this point in time there is any player on God's green earth who is going to go ahead and take their career and say, you know what, I don't need to make the most of my money amount I can possibly make. I'm just going to go ahead and take a big old discount to let my team stay and continue to win Super Bowl. Those days are gone. The world revolves around money and how much of it do you have and how much of it can you get at any given moment. So Tua Tagovailoa, especially Tua Tagovailoa, if he is,
I think Tua of all play, if he balls out this year, he is gonna force Miami's hand to give him the fattest contract possible.
Because
absolutely, because he may not get another one. You never know. He definitely never knows what would happen.
NFL, like we've talked about, what does it stand for? It stands for National Football League. It stands for No Fun League, and it stands for Not for Long. Tua, we're talking about the guy that people are looking at and saying, oh, he may have to retire because his life may be in jeopardy. If you believe that he is in that much danger, that his career could end at any given moment, that when his time comes to get a contract and roll around, do you think that for 1 second he's going to take 1 penny less than he feels that he is worth at this point? There's no way.
I think if any player was going to try and get the max amount they could get, it's going to be Tua. But I also don't know that even with one Super Baller season, Miami just decides let's make Tua the highest paid quarterback in the league. I don't think unless he just goes ham this year, which he could. I mean, he's not having to learn a new offense now. It's all going to click.
He was in MVP discussions
talk.
last
No
year,
doubt.
and now he doesn't even. Yeah, you like you said, he doesn't even have to learn the offense anymore.
Now
and you know who else doesn't have to learn the offense anymore? Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
apparently Tyreek didn't know what he was doing. He was just running around, and Tua was finding him.
It was just all athleticism, or not all, but he didn't know the playbook like he knows now for sure. So I don't know that Greer and the Dolphins are just going to roll out the red carpet and make the guy let's just say the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL, not the first. I don't think that will happen. But I don't think my Tua will just willfully say, "Hey man, I'll play for less just to keep the gang together." I don't see it. I don't think for Tua himself that's the smartest move either. I'd love it as a Dolphins fan, and I'm sure Greer would love it, and McDaniel would love it, but I don't know that Tua does it, and I won't hate him for not doing that because, fair is fair. You got to make your money, man.
Everybody wants to make their money. Now, if he pulled a Xavian Howard, then I would start to get a little upset because I'm still kind of peeved over how that whole thing went down.
Well, I get it though, man.
He signs his no. Not with Xavian Howard. I'm not letting Xavian Howard off the hook for that run. No.
I will.
He signs his new contract, his brand spanking new contract, and 1 year later, he's like, that guy got paid more than me. I don't want to play anymore unless you give me more money than him.
He should have got more money. But he should have never been making a penny less than Byron Jones. Sorry, I get it. I get why he was mad. But you know what? But Miami made it right. Greer made it right. He missed no games. That's another reason why I'm not worried about Connor Williams, not worried about Sealer, not worried about Wilkins. If we're going to make things right, we're going to do what's right with the right players on this team. I know that Greer will. I know that they'll get it figured out for sure. I'm not concerned.
Are you?
But it might mean we don't get to sign Dalvin Cook.
Listen, I won't lose any sleep over the Miami Dolphins not signing Dalvin Cook either. I just think
that's good because you might lose a lot of sleep if you were to. Because I don't think Dalvin Cook's gonna be a Dolphin. That's the truth.
Everybody else seems to think that it's a done deal, even though
I know it's crazy. People are coming up to me at work. People are coming up to me at work saying, "Oh man, here Dalvin's going to Miami. It's going to be Super Bowl." Like people are just thinking that Dalvin Cook makes Miami instant Super Bowl contenders. Well, number one,
if we think they're already Super Bowl
contenders right now. Number two, I don't think Dalvin Cook is that special that he makes that kind of difference.
For what it's worth, Jason Sarney pointed out a very important stat. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but Dalvin Cook has more goal line touchdowns than pretty much every single Miami Dolphins running back over the past 5 years. So
yeah, I mean, you're gonna go. So he wants $6 to $8 million a year to be a goal line running back. And
I'm not saying
where's that list? Pull that list up again. I'm sure we could find Leonard Fournette could be a goal line back for.
So could Ezekiel Elliott.
And
but
I bet you he'll take less money. Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know what Ezekiel Elliott wants either.
But I'm not saying that Dalvin Cook would be just a goal line running back. What I'm saying is that you have to buy the touchdowns where you can get them. Dalvin Cook accounts for touchdowns that the Miami Dolphins have not been able to get over the past several years.
Smythe is going to run for him. Just kidding, man. I'm just playing.
I'm not even sure anymore when it comes to you, man. Like, if you want to play the game of having Christian Wilkins play fullback and Alec Ingold trying to run it, okay, fine. But that didn't even seem effective last season. Every time I see Christian Wilkins line up as a fullback, I mean, it's funny. I enjoy seeing it because it makes me laugh. But as far as like an actual serious way I want
to see Robert Hunt go out and run a route and catch a pass. That's what I want to see.
You want to see him get that touchdown that he was robbed of last time?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not really robbed of. I mean, but yeah. All right, man. Well, we're pretty much at an hour. You want to?
We're gonna go ahead and
want to speak to our sponsors and wrap it up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it up real quick. For anybody who did not catch it at the start of the show, once again, this show is brought to you by Ubreak Wheel Fix. If you want to be able to get your wheels a brand new look, like this Dolphins look that you're seeing right there, that's our good friend from the Dolphin Bandits. His name is also Manny, but you've probably seen him at football games and maybe been seeing his car drive around the city. You can go to ubreakwheelfix.com, get an estimate in just minutes, or you can reach out to Mark and his staff at 305-748-0112 to get an estimate to see if you can get your wheels fixed or your whole ride just given a massive upgrade. And of course, you can go to prizepicks.com, use that promo code FIVE, that's FIVE, and they will match up to $100 on your deposit when you sign up, which means that your $100 that you deposited, you don't even have to touch it until you get through the $100 that PrizePicks gives you for signing up using our promo code. All right. That's going to be it for this show. Thank you all so much for listening. We will see you all next week because we are going to be here to get you through this lull of Dolphins content. And believe me, we'll find things to talk about.
We'll find things.
That's just what we do.
We'll find the same things. We'll be arguing about Dalvin Cook for 6 weeks.
More news may come out. We may change the landscape. So, all right. See you next time, folks.
See you guys.